point. Uh, and something you touched upon is very important. It's about adapting to the season. Uh, Two things I always say to my team, whoever is in All Stars, is one, don't complain about lag. It's going to be there. You just gotta know it, because when people start talking about, like, oh, the lag is insane, we can't join rallies or something, that call goes on a spiral. And yeah, like, I mean, even things like, okay, we are not getting hit, or we are 200K behind. Any information that is not useful, I just don't want it on the call. Like, just an update on the score is fine, but starting to, like, talk about it more, I just don't want it on the call. Again, for rallies, I just say whenever you are in, just say settled. Like, someone calls settled, I send the rally out. So these are things, like, I would say that are important. Tips, would you like to add to this?
I agree with you on that perspective. I think it's lag is going to be there. Lag is always there. So best way a team can do to win is just deal with it quietly and make sure you don't demoralize the other players, because you need everybody to be motivated and go to the end of the game.
Yeah. Do you guys recommend pre-wins for All Stars, or send us request at Theo? So I'll take this first. So, like, this about this question, the most important thing is what AQ said. You have to adapt to the season, and I will add, you have to remember what last season was about. So last season, AS11 was all about defense. The team which got the most defenses won, and people still remember that. Like me personally, I set a lot less caps this season. So remembering that, if you go with a pre-rein strategy where keeps can't be hit, they will not hit keeps. Like, they see 50 million reins in 3 or 4 rallies, they are not sending rallies your way. They see a lot of people port swapping, they are not sending rallies your way. So you have to make the keep lucrative for others to hit, and this is very, very important, because you have to like, at least in the finals, you have to motivate your team to heal, because they have to have the confidence that you will win. Everyone wants to win. I don't believe that, like, because the finals awards are not important enough, people don't heal. If you can motivate, people will heal, because everyone is playing to win. These are the, like, 100 biggest, like, not 100 biggest, but like, one few of the biggest coiners in your continent. Everyone wants to win. Motivate your team to heal, but don't do it in a way that the power exchange, when they're rallying you, you're just tanking like shit. No one's gonna hit you. Like, I actually, like, we had Will Wallace and Professor and Sigu in our team, and all of them are really good port swappers. And I said that, guys, don't port swap. You port swap, people are gonna stop hitting us. And this is very important. Like, you gotta keep your keeps lucrative to hit. Otherwise, people are not gonna hit you. You're gonna miss out on all the defense points. You guys want to add anything to this?
Yeah, I think for me it depends on which stage of All Stars you're at. Right, if you're in prelims, semis, or finals, the buffs are radically different between the different stages. At least it was in C4 on round one. And you can't expect to do the same level of clearing, and you can't expect to get the same level of rallies going in round one than you can in the final rounds. And so pre-raining and defenses are probably a bit more important towards the end. But in the first round, you have keeps that are poorly built with poor debuffs, and no matter what, some of them won't hold. So I think you've got to adapt it to the level of buffs that you have within your own team in terms of rallying and what you can do defensively. But I will echo Viper's point around just making sure your team has some points to hit. So, for example, in C3, when we were playing in the last round, we had a team that kept port swapping, and we had this Vietnamese player that would always port swap in any cav or ground that we would send. And that just resulted us in ignoring that team, and we just decided not to go after them at all. And I think that put them back versus all the other teams in the end.
AQ, would you like to weigh in on this?
Um, yeah, so I do agree with both of you guys over here. In all 3 rounds which I played in, most like even in the past few seasons, a team like for example, last time there was this guy who won AS Enderon. right? These the team was port swapping constantly. They weren't rallying. I usually just ignore that team and go towards someone else because if not 25, maybe 15, 16 players are healing again and again their marches to join rallies, right? And it just becomes very demoralizing for your own team as a setter when you start splatting a lot on your rallies. So I make sure that I prioritize going after players that are going to be the most lucrative when it comes to points or when it comes to results as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to end this point, like, I mean, I see a team post swapping like too many times. I just stop hitting them. I'm like, fuck them, like, not worth it. I'm just losing troops. So, uh, yeah. So X-Wing has a question: when your strongest member is not cutting it as a setter, is it worth taking over with a smaller rally cap but more competence? For example, 85 million rally cap who's flat ground on 40B plus versus 50 million rally cap who doesn't. I mean, X-Wing 85 to 50 is a very, very big difference, right? Generally, the difference will not be that much. It will be 85 to 70, maybe. In that case, definitely the more competent person should take over. But if you have a 85 to 50 and the 85 player is incompetent, in that case, you're better off just guiding him exactly what to do. And you like, because now, in at least in C1, C2, everyone knows who are the good setters. So you start off by saying that, hey, you are going to do exactly what I say. You're going to set range on who I tell you to set range on. You're going to set siege when I tell you to set siege on, and you're going to send out the rally. Just listen to me. What I'm saying. Like, I'm in. Send out the rally, and you're going to send out the rally at that point. Because with a 50 million rally cap, you're basically not doing anything to big keeps. You guys want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think one of the elements that's important in All Stars and as in any other competition is managing egos. And so some people, because they have the biggest castle, will feel they're entitled to be the ones that are supposed to set. And so I feel we often discount that you would rather privilege having a fast setter with a slightly smaller rally hole than somebody who just has the max rally hole and the better buffs, because their debuffs are going to come into play anyways if they're part of the rally. But what you want and ultimately wins, from my perspective in All Stars, is always speed and keeping the momentum up. And if you don't have a setter that's used to setting and just can't keep up with the pace, regardless of filling an 85 or 100 mil rally hole, if you're not sending them and they're not hitting the target, it's just a waste. So people often discount how important it is to have somebody that's fast and just used to setting. And so you should privilege having the better set of set than rather than the biggest keep. And that's just about managing egos and making sure that your whole team's aligned.
AK, do you want to add anything to this?
I again, I do agree with you guys. The one thing that we need to realize or accept that the team wins, right? If you're number one and the team doesn't win, you're not gonna get 20 people through in the final. You're not gonna win all stars, right? That sort of a thing. So, to get or maximize your points and rewards, you need to be very, very fast because there are limited points on the map. If your setter is not fast, someone else will take those points, and while they're running 4 or 5 rallies, you'll be running one, maybe two, right? So I would say if the biggest rally size doesn't have the speed or isn't a good setter, I would most likely or would want to go towards a better setter with a smaller rally size. And I don't think in all stars there would be such a massive difference. There would be a rally size difference, but not such a massive difference. Like there were a couple of 45s on C4, then there were a lot of 44s and 43s, right? So obviously the rally size does matter, but if the setter is not good, then I'd totally just go for speed. I think speed is the most important when it comes to all stars.
This particular setup was fast, but bigger rally caps make bigger flats too. So basically, X-Wing, I think the problem is what you're talking about is he just didn't know what to set. that can be fixed. You can just someone in the team who has enough time can just tell like set range on this guy, set siege on that guy instead of letting them choose. Bigger rally halls will not mean bigger splats. I don't agree with this. Bigger rally halls on the right targets would mean any day a better conversion than a smaller rally. Okay, C5 had the same issue, rally versus rally speed capability. Okay, I don't see any more questions. If you guys just want to talk about the strategy you adapted through like the finals, semis, and in the sorry, prelims, semis, and the finals, that would be great. Okay, sorry. When you are on the smallest team and you have small rally house, do you suggest multiple rally hitters, or should the focus be on grabbing more solo than having a dedicated rally team of marchers size to fit into this? Okay, so you guys want to take this? It's a question from Briar. When you are on the smallest team and you have small rally halls, do you suggest multiple rally setters, or should the focus be on grabbing more solo than having a dedicated rally team of marchers size to fit into the single rally setters hall?
I'm happy to
So
jump in. Go for it. Go for it.
yeah, so I don't recommend soloing at all. I believe if you're a smaller team and you don't have the rally size and even your setter is average, I would take all the defense points that you guys can win by reinforcing the right people. Number one, so there are a bunch of points, offensive and defensive. So I would take the defensive points as well. Obviously, if you can do rally halls, quick rallies on them, that would help. But like I said, if you have the smallest team, which like in the second and third round, sometimes they do match teams based on the glitched powers of all the players, but still, if you still have the smallest team, I still don't think it's going to be comparatively as like there's going to be that big of a difference. But if that is, I would obviously recommend rallying rally halls, multiple rally setters. I've done that twice, and it has never worked for me. I think everyone has different styles to rally. It makes it confusing even for the people to join. So like I wouldn't even do solos. Maybe building points, rally hall, rallying some rally halls, right? But I would still continue rallying as much as you guys can.
Okay, so I have. I have a similar perspective to this. I will just add, like, I will look into, like, it depends on which stage you are in, right? If you're in the prelims and you're fighting to qualify, you got to do some, like, some tricky things, right? Like, you can probably scout the rally setter so that to draw his attention, so that he sets on you, and you got to sit for it. I mean, if you have a defense where you will at least go like 1:1.5, you got to sit for the rally and take it. uh, at the end of the day, All Stars is an individual competition. You are looking to get a dragon. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really. I mean, if I was in your place and I knew that my team's going to come last, I would look to qualify anyway. So, it's, uh, I mean, you can say that your team's gonna lose because of this, but your team's gonna lose anyway. And if you can afford to heal, you're probably putting your team up. Like if you have if you're sitting on 50k, 60k, 70k heal days, you're putting your team up. Like so, I would just see which team is first. I would scout the rally setter, take the hits from them. Again, like all stars. I agree, it's about rally speed and everything, but one thing you have to keep in mind is how you set your team up, right? And this is very important. As a setter, even not as a setter, even as a joiner, you can help set your team up, right? So, like this season, I think one of the best strategies was making sure that your team gets hit, keeping your team lucrative to hit, knowing who has heals. Anyone who says that, like, so basically, you start with the player profiles and see who has how many heals. Anyone who has heals, make them lucrative to hit. And this was super important this season. Unless we go back to All Stars like All Stars 6, where everyone was getting butchered, everyone was getting zeroed. At this moment, everyone has a lot of heals, so get them to hit your team. And again, even as a single player, solos don't get you that much point if you're in a small team, unless you are like a mega. I mean, if you're a mega keep like say me or Hippo or Tibbs, you probably will. I mean, you probably have the rally cap yourself. If you don't have, solos will not give you that many points. It's defenses that you have to take, even if the power exchange sucks. And yeah, that's pretty much what. Tibbs, if you want to add something to this.
I I think I echo again the 2 points, but I really think that being the smallest team isn't actually something bad. I think we often match power with strength of the team, and I think that's a misconception because what you're really looking for is the power of the keeps that you have within. So, for example, if you think of a player in C4, her name is Kiss Me, right? She's K44, 20 bill. Her buffs are outstanding and crazy. If you have a player like that that's 20 bill and another one that's 20 bill but it's a K41 with minimal buffs, that you can't assess that these two keeps are worth the same. And people often do that when looking at the team power, and that's completely wrong, right? You should try to look at the average buff that you have in your team and what you can hope to achieve. And so, being the smallest team sometimes is still considered to be the prime target. And if you do so, as Viper said, you're going to be the prime target. You can take those defensive hits and get all the points, and people will then move on from your team because you're probably outmatched in terms of defense. And I think that's where you get to counter set and take the opportunity. But being the smallest team does not mean being in a position of weakness. It's all about the tech and the power of the people that you have within your team, and that's where I think we often get ill matched, and it's not really a fair game.
Okay, a fantastic point, Tibbs. So X-Wing has another question. I felt like this season was the most balanced between offense and defense in the last 2 seasons. Defense could have been slightly more advantaged with huge embassy capacities, up to 80 million reigns in some keeps. We even saw 119 million X-Wing. What are your thoughts, and in which direction do you think gets the advantage next season or us to prepare for? AK, you want to take this?
Yeah. So, in my experience, honestly, if I see, let's say, a strong player, not a huge player like Viper or even Hodler, I mean 35, 40 bills who are reigned a lot. Uh, Honestly, Big Siege was working really well against reinforcements, and I 95% of the time went positive on those people, right? So I don't agree that if, like, comparatively, yeah, you can say that offense and defense was more balanced. But if you remember the last season, I believe the flexible specs were glitched, and defense was working way better than it was this time, right? If you want to see this as balance, that's fine. I don't think even with people getting rained a lot, it was really working that well. However, I do believe that you have to cut down your all-star round experience based on those 2 hours. Like in the last 30, 40 minutes, the rallies that are going are 50-60% dust. People are not healing but still joining rallies with lower tier troops, so reinforcements would work, defense would work really well. That's when you can win a lot of defense points. But in the start, when rallies are filling up and they're all top tier troops with the highest buffs, I don't think reinforcements or defense works at that time. Like, for example, I threw 9,500 million rally on the biggest players, the strongest players with the strongest debuff, and it still hurt the shit out of them. I On regular, I took 7-8 billion off on T11s off of players who were 55, 60, 50 bill, right? So, and these guys were reigned as well, right? So I do believe that question is like, you have to time your all-star experience based on the first half hour, then the second half hour, and then the last half hour as well, and then you got to decide what you need to do. But I don't think like, if I see someone reigned a lot, obviously, if that team is closest to me in points, I won't go after them. But if it's the fourth place team, I would still big siege the shit out of them to take the reins away, right? And it still goes point positive most, for me, right? So yeah, that's my answer for that.
Tibbs?
Yeah, sorry, I was reading a work email. I didn't follow the question.
Okay, so basically he's saying that there's a defense, like it's more or less balance between
Oh yeah,
offense
sorry.
and defense,
Yeah, yeah,
and
agreed that this was the better version. I think this was the best All Stars for that, where you didn't see like 2 seasons ago where there was massive advantage towards attack, and you didn't have exactly what AQ said towards the first game last season with the flex specs where nothing was going through. This was definitely the most fun in that perspective because there was more balance to it. You couldn't just hit anybody. It felt more like a challenge and more of a fun game. And I hope that they maintain the balance in such a way. Obviously, having a 100 million rally cap was something that helped a lot, regardless of reigns. So I think having all three or all four rally types set up on a player and you being able to fill 100 mil versus whatever the reigns they were going to get, because people aren't focusing so much on reigning, only a portion of your team will. We still managed to make it through most of the keeps doing that, but you have to be willing to set multiple rallies on a single target, which you can only do when momentum slows down towards the end of the game and there's less targets to go after. But it was definitely more fun that way, and I hope that they keep the balance this way.
okay. So I have a slightly different perspective to this. I think like everyone has heard me say it. So basically, I have been playing since AS6. So AS6 was where attack was completely like, I mean, the defense just didn't work. Everyone got zeroed, right? So, and then from there on, defense has started working a little better every AS till it peaked in AS11. And I think we are going to a place again where, like attacks working better and better. And we'll keep going in that direction. Uh, I'll tell you the reason, because at the end of the day, we understand that evony is all about making money. And if they keep defense more stacked than attack, people are just gonna use less heals. Like at this moment, the big keys just don't have to buy heal packs. They're like everyone's sitting with like 100k, 200k days of heals. So they will have to move on to a place where even the bigger keys have to heal. And yeah, I think like from now on we'll see a bigger shift towards attacks doing better. So yeah, about that, like I would say 100 million rally cap on a keep that is reinforced 40 million didn't do that well this time. I mean, it's slightly different from what AQ said. Maybe it's just different continents, but 100 million rally cap, if you had more than 30 million reigns, didn't do that well. So yeah, I think we are gonna see a shift where like even people like me and yeah, we'll have to start porting because we're just getting too lazy at this moment, just sitting and setting, keeping marshes in rally halls and all. So I think in another two All Stars, there will come a time where even we have to start porting if we're getting hit. Is ground or siege? You guys want to add anything to this point? Should I move to the next question? Hello.
I'm all
Oh,
good. Move to the next question.
okay.
Likewise.
Is ground rain or siege rain better versus the huge archer rallies Neo was trying, or mix the rain for better results? Okay, so I think ground rain is definitely better against archer rally, uh, because siege works in mysterious ways. At least to me, I don't really understand how siege works. Ground rains, so ground basically attacks range first. As soon as it reaches range, completely decimates range. If your calves have enough HP to survive the onslaught, ground will like just decimate range as fast as possible. Also, remember something: reins start a little bit before, like reins are standing outside your castle, right? So imagine like Game of Thrones, right? If you have seen that, right? The Golden Company was standing outside King's Landing. So reins are standing outside your castle, and their ground has needs less time to cover the ground to the range than your ground. And if they have ground speed, it's even better. So yeah, I think ground reigns for sure. And siege, what siege does is siege kills all the siege layers first, and then siege can move on to any troop type. Sometimes siege can be useful, siege reigns, but it's not very consistent. At least what I have seen from reports. You guys want to add anything to this?
Nope, all good.
Yeah, second your point.
Uh,
Ground reigns always against archers.
okay, what are some recommendations to make our defenses better for all stars besides A, coining, B, pre-rein? Okay. Uh, Question from Jake. Anyone?
So yeah, I'll take that. I believe obviously except coining and all those things, I believe for all stars debuffs are the most important things. Being and honestly,
100%.
Cav yeah, Cav
100%.
HP, ranged attack, siege attack, and siege HP debuffs are way important. Like people who had 4 500 siege HP were getting destroyed for 11, 12, 13 billion on just siege rallies. And like even 80 million rallies were hurting the shit out of people. So I believe the number one thing that you need to focus on to improve your defense is your debuffs. If you're a low coiner, maybe try getting as many fourth certificates and upgrading your debuffs from there. If you're a coiner, then maybe getting the right a Civ gear to get your debuffs up. Like for example, the bourbon chest plate is really good. A couple, I think this the Abbas bracer is good for siege HP debuff, stuff like that, right? That you can improve your debuffs on. So I my number one recommendation when it comes to fixing your defense would be fixing your debuffs.
Well, and I mean, I couldn't agree more with AQ. Like, that's just so important and so ignored, right? And this is also like, I mean, if you're like 11, 12B, and debuffs is just not, fixing one part. Like, Viper says he focuses on CHP, so let me focus CHP. No, like, if you're 12B, you're not getting sieged, and people are not going to solo much in All Stars, right? So, you're not getting siege. What you need to fix is range and cav. There is a chance that you might just get straight caved. Fix cav attack and cav HP. So know your size and fix debuff accordingly. And that's just gonna be so important. Uh, and one more thing to add is like if you're like a 12, 13, 14, 15, even 20, 25B, you're gonna be arched a lot. So what you want is your arch to stop at cav. Because once and I know it sounds counterintuitive that calves are supposed to be weak against arch. So why is Viper saying that a calves to defend arch? Because think of it this way: once arch gets through calves, it just decimates everything else. Because the ground is just taking hits without reaching arch. Like if your calves just get obliterated, ground is taking hit from arch without like before they can reach arch, and they're just keeping on taking hits and they die. And somehow I don't even understand the mechanics of it. Range actually even kills siege. So you just get one tapped right there. So you have to get your calves to stop the arch attack. And how do you do that? You have lower layers like I mean, last time I said this, people said that it's not easy for low coiners to build this, but come on, you're playing All Stars. You gotta build that. You gotta like at least like a 1 billion T1, 500 million T2, T3, T4, T5, and all the way to T67. And I'm talking about at least 50 million T6 and T7, so that they do not go. The arch doesn't go beyond T7 calves in the attack. Calves, a cav rally can still go beyond it, but I mean, yeah, I mean, you try to post from a cav rally, and you can try to absorb a arch rally with your calves, and basically, and all flats on your cav defense, cav HP, cav attack, everything flat. That's what I would say. Tibbs, you want to add something to it?
Um, I'll probably just echo what Cream said in the comments. If you're a low corner, the best way also to improve those defenses is just knowing how well you play. And if you don't have healing buffs and you know that your keep is suboptimal, join two instead of four rallies and make sure you get out before you get hit. You want to be able to use all the troops that you have to get points rather than be wiped in one hit where you're going to score basically nothing on defenses. So just know your keep as well, and don't get greedy. Do what you can in terms of speed. Get into the two rallies instead of the four, and get out. I think that's something that we're particularly working on at WDF as we have people rebuilding up some keeps that have been challenged. And I think one of the key learnings is we just join one or two of those rallies, make sure that you get in, but learn to get out fast. Obviously, All Stars has a bit more lag, so it sometimes doesn't fall on you, but try to as well.
Um, the one thing I'll say is I went through a lot of reports on 10 to 15 billion players, and people are using a lot of rings, and I get that to debuff ranged attack, and the range attack was very decent, but they weren't that big coiners, but that came at a cost of not having good cav HP debuffs on their keeps. And what that did was cav cleared, and honestly, my cav did the best damage on 10 to 15 bill players. And it was clearing it. I was noticing like 400 to 600 to 700 cav HP debuffs. And I believe there needs to be a balance over there as well. Obviously, based on the size as well. Like if you're 20, 25 bill, maybe yeah, focus on that ranged. But if you're lower, if you're 10, 12 billion, the cav with respect to all star rallies is very important as well. The HP debuff, I mean.
Fantastic. Totally agree with you there. Rest up. What was your question? Can you please repeat it?
Yeah, I'm just curious if any of the far more experienced and big players have experimented with a T10 siege reinforcement marches for countering a ranged rally, an All Stars range rally type thing.
I haven't. We are limited.
I haven't.
The problem is we're limited in presets. So I have like two range, two ground, one big siege, one small siege, one reinforcement siege, and the reinforcement siege is against big siege. So it is also big siege. A T10 will not work against a big siege. So yeah, I really haven't done that. Any of you guys have done that?
No, for the same reason as you.
If I can comment, Rom said in the comments the same thing about the presets, and I think you're right. And it would just be a question of, to me, if anyone had the ability to try it at some point in a friendly battlefield to determine if it was even worth it, because it may not be. I just think it's an interesting idea.
Could be fun
Yeah,
to test though.
I agree with you. Just one thing, like T9, T10 works really great on defense, but reinforcements, as I said, stand outside the castle. So it's all about range, right? So I don't know if that gets messed up against archers in reinforcements, but we definitely should try this. This is a great idea.
Since I didn't get booted as a speaker, the other question I had is if we're trying to counter a big siege or small siege
We-
All Stars rally.
We're not booting anyone, bro. Why
Oh yeah,
would
no,
you
no,
think
sorry,
that?
no, I expected to be removed as speaker, which would be fine in a setting like this. I just, how many siege reans do you need to counter an All Stars rally, like as a percentage or a ratio? Like if I've got big siege coming at me, do I need one rean march for two rally joiners, or do I need three? Like that, just what's that ratio? What you think you'd be looking at to win the power exchange against an All Stars siege rally?
It depends on the timing of the rally. Like an all-star siege rally at the start is much more deadly than like within 1 hour of the battle, and it also depends on your defense buffs. Remember that if you have a lower siege HP, it's okay. Like if someone like me reinforces you because my attack march has a siege HP of 850, and that will take place as a siege HP debuff. But without that, I mean, it depends on all of this, right? Like what's your CHP debuff? If your CHP debuff is not enough, what is the CHP debuff of who is reigning you? Like what is the strength of the rally that is being sent? So it's not a question that I can have a straight answer to. Maybe tips on AQ can help.
No, I would agree with that. Also depends on the quality of the rainers, right? If you've got all that reinforcement tech done in MA5, those rains are going to be a lot more valuable than somebody who hasn't done all of that. So again, I think it really you can't have a set rule. It'll depend more on the characteristics of the people that are joining you versus having a standard ratio.
Um, yeah, another thing is that obviously it's based on your team as well, and who you have to reinforce you and who you're facing. Like for example, in the second round, Take was with me in my team, and I had Frankie as well with me. And these people are 4,500 buffs all round, right? And anyone who was reigning while against us, it wasn't working, right? So it all depends on who's coming at you and who's there to reinforce you as well. I don't think there's a set rule, but in All Stars, the speed is so much that you cannot be thinking about these things because you'll just constantly be thinking about these specific things, right? So there's no, I don't think there's any hard and fast rule on this.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just like you try to get the most wins when you're getting rallied. That's all. Okay, Buff,
What's up, guys?
go on. Hey, Buff, how are you?
I'm good. I'm I'd say a mid-range coiner. K39 going into K40, and a lot of my friends are upper range K40 going K41, K42, and whatnot. I noticed in the prelims we didn't even throw one siege rally, so it's different than obviously C2, C3, and whatnot.
Uh, it's just about timing of the continent. We, I think we have like two all stars where like AS6, AS7 wasn't much about siege. Even AS8, like so basically three AS where we didn't use siege much. We used siege, but not as much. Um, so yeah, I didn't have a siege much in AS6, AS7. So it's
Okay.
timing of the continent, and it's just how the continent. I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm
Yeah,
sure, like,
just Archer and Cav, so that's what I've been having my people work on defensively.
yeah, it's just the timing of the continent. That's
Okay,
pretty much it. Nothing
makes
more to it.
sense.
You guys want to add anything?
No, agreed there.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Buff. Uh, can someone pull X-wing up? Oh, X-wing can't speak. Okay. So his question is, Viper, are you familiar with my defense? I've noticed T1 starting to fail against harsh rallies and will do only worse as more players get closer to 4K buffs, and especially against T16. Will T1 become a thing of the past? Grant is still relevant against solos. Uh, yeah. You guys want to take this?
Um, I'll take this. So I've been going through a lot of reports, and honestly, I believe with the amount of buffs that have come in since the K45 upgrade, I agree T1s are not as effective as they used to be. But here's the thing that I've noticed: they have been really effective when people have had their layers built up to T7s and have supported them with maybe HP flats on your defense general flats obviously all round on your defense general, but HP flats on your dragon as well. And I've noticed that anyone who has built up that 250 300 million layers from T2s to T7s, their T1s have supported them. And if that hasn't been there, T1s have just died, honestly. And this is all based on me reading through reports of this AS. So I do believe the effectiveness when it comes to defending against rallies, T1 are not as effective. But if you have built that defense up to T7s and are supporting them with flats, that makes sense. Plus, also, I do believe with Iron Curtain Flex Spec available for most of the players, that helps a lot as well, right? So if you build your layers up till T7s, it's very effective. If not, I agree it's not as effective as it used to be.
Yeah, I will add to that point. Like, I haven't really seen a lot of all-star reports, but like just going by what Vic does. So we have like one last arch rally to kill off all the T1s. So basically, it's just one extra rally. It's not as effective as it used to be. It's one extra arch rally you can take before someone can go cav and ground. So yeah, I think it's effective in that sense. Age-old question: cav and ground speed on wall. There's debate from your favorite YouTuber in regards to if they work or not. Let's say your 20B flat cav refined over 1 billion T1 cav. Have you noticed if they benefit or not from having the speed skill books on the walls from All Stars? Okay, I'm gonna take this. So basically, anyone who says that cav and ground speed doesn't work don't know what they're talking about. Definitely works. I mean, think of it this way, right? Why would you not want your calves to have speed? Like, what I do is like I try to have a more relatable setting. Like, actually think of a war. So, if your calves are fast, it's tough for the archers to target. It's just that because they're moving. A faster target is more difficult to a faster target is more difficult for an archer than a slower target. Also, they get out of range of the archers faster and reach the archers faster. So once reaches archers, archers can't do much, right? It's only the time, like the distance between, like from where the calves are to the archer, until they cover the distance, archers can kill calves. Once calves reach, what are archers gonna do? Think of it like they're just infantry at that point, just standing to get slaughtered. So that's what I think about it. You guys want to add anything?
Not on my side.
AQ, do you want to add anything?
No, no, all good. I agree with you. I already said my part.
All right. Yeah,
I've
yeah,
got
Rom,
something.
you're on stage. Yeah, Rom, you're on stage.
So basically, we did this test on Nox's Keep, right? He took a Vig rally with and without the speed skill book, and we shared reports showing how it was different and what the impact was. Obviously, having the speed made a difference, and he didn't lose as much. The counter arguments that were given for that was okay, but did everyone joining the rally join in the same order? Your archer tower was already burning, so that made a difference, and all sorts of stuff. But let's be honest, it's kind of like what I was telling Res regarding the T10 siege. Is it realistic? Can you realistically control all those factors while you're in an actual battle scenario? If you can't, then there's no point discussing it because it's just moot. Because how many times are you going to be able to control the order in which people enter rallies? Like in All Stars, especially, if you are able to enter into a rally, that's already a big accomplishment, right? Because they get filled up so fast. So, how are you going to actually control all of those factors to say, oh, all of these made a difference? It's not the speed book. I don't buy it because you'd never be able to control all of those things. And what else are you going to use that speed book for? Like 20% more defense? Is that really going to help you that much? I don't think so. Yeah, just wanted to add that. I agree um, with having the speed skill books, especially because I've done that and I've seen a difference as well having the speed books. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rom.
I don't think there are any questions. I think.
Oh, Mendy wants to speak. I just pulled him up
Okay.
on stage. Yeah, hi, Mendy.
Hey everyone, how you doing?
Hey, buddy.
We're good. How are you?
Doing good. The question comes is, I mean, Tibbs, Viper, AQ, you guys are all coming from C2, C3 servers, and maybe even C4s. The problem is Geek being in C5, having played, I don't know if he was playing his account, but C5 and C6 being younger servers and haven't caught up to everything. We have Island Whales, which have gone K45 with 4500 buff. The average on the C5 is 41, 42 keep levels. Does do you guys have any advice for the C5 and the C6 servers as to which way to develop for future? I mean, Siege is going to come into play most likely by another All Star maybe, or the one after, because of the maturity of these continents. So how would you advise anybody in C6 or even C5, if it makes sense?
It's just a question of maturity, right? As you have more and more people that are going to get bigger, you're going to start building out more and more siege into those defenses, and the way that you're going to get around those is by sieging them first. So people are going to have to start developing their siege generals to go after it. I guess that's for all stars. If you're talking about teams and echelons and the rest, I think you guys have a very different dynamic in C5 and C6 than the other continents do. But from an all stars perspective, it's just a question of developing the right generals to go after the keeps as people start getting more in size. And by the way, 41, 42 versus the prelims that we had in C4 is not that different, right? I had a bunch of, I think there was 15 or 14 K40s in my team on round one.
That's true. I mean, in C5, that's what we noticed. I was in the finals in the Bear team for C5, and we were literally I'm a K40, and we had another couple of K39s also, and we were actually lower powered because of the glitch when matchup started. Because I was glitched at 30 bill power, whereas I'm actually 15 bill. So yeah, so this is what I mean. It's like there are a lot of glitches that there were. The C5 and C6 are progressing, but in all stars, yes, siege will make a difference. But on and whole, as a continent, which having you guys having had the experience of the growth,
Okay,
and
so this is something I messed up on my keep, and hence I can just give you an advice. So basically, especially with the uh, optional chess, my keep is extremely balanced, right? It has roughly the same amount of siege, same amount of arch, same amount of calf, same amount of ground. What you should do is build your keep siege heavy and arch heavy, uh, because still actually someone till your continent develops siege heavy keep of course works, right? And after that also, like once your continent develops siege, you'll be doing a lot of siege and arch rallies, right? A lot more than calves and ground. So you will run out of them much faster than calves and ground. So I would say that develop your keep with a focus on siege and range, and then calves and then ground.
all right,
Ground
so
probably ground probably only for defense, and like if you have like over 40,000 or 4,300, 4,400 bucks for solos. Otherwise, Browns not that important. I mean, for defense it is sure, but I mean not going to be used nearly as much as range and siege, which you're going to run out of.
and you're talking about top tier siege and range, then.
Siege is always top tier. Range you can even build lower tires, doesn't matter. But for rallies you just need top tire. So
All right, sounds good. Appreciate it.
The one thing I will add here, as you guys grow um, to being bigger keeps, I think one of the worst thing that we do in Evony is just call T1 trap keeps T1 trap keeps. Honestly, no big player should ever stop being a T1 trap keep. Whether it's defense, whether it's your layers, because I think the only player who has the luxury of not getting hit and not building that way in the game is Viper. right? I've seen all his videos. I don't think he has gotten hit. I don't remember the last time he's gotten hit in BOC, BOG. So he has the luxury of doing it. No other player has, right? So I do believe no player should ever stop being a T1 trap keep, and when I say a T1 trap keep, I mean proper Cavaliers up till T7s, flats on the wall, all those things, right? Because flats are something that you cannot get from treasures, you cannot get from art halls, from duty officers, nothing. You can get them from three things: that's flex specs, that's refining, and then refines on your dragon, right? So I do believe that even as you grow, do maintain your wall, cav wall, based on your size, right? And then obviously what Viper and Tib said about upper tier siege, and then arch layers from top to bottom, all those things come into play gradually as you guys grow.
100%. Totally agree with you. Great point, AQ. And just to add to this, calves are the troops, except siege. Calves are the troops that go out first and come back last. So you need to buff your calves. You need to have like a strong calf all the way down to T1. So yeah. All right. Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Mandy. Briar, your question, please.
Hi. So I put a report in the chat there. It's the big rally hit that I took from Neo in prelims, and so far I've been using a combination of Leo the Third and Yodo Dono on my wall to try and help with some of the buff. And I've got all my main gear refined for flats, of course, for the Cav, and then I've got my dragon refined for siege. And basically, my whole defense is based on the notion that the top tier siege will help protect the bottom tier cav, which I've got T1 through T4 on, with a lot of T11 there too. I'm just wondering, with a hit like that, with 13 people in rally and no rain, is there anything I can do to build up the defense that'll hold against that without hitting like 40 billion myself? I'd like to stay somewhere around 15 billion range.
I'm happy to go first tab. I think interesting that you shared 5 screenshots, but the one that you didn't share is your debuffs, right? So I think going back to AQ's point on what you can do better to prepare for All Stars is obviously debuffs. And here, I think it'd be interesting to compare debuffs, right? Because no matter how you're going to build, if your buffs, your defending buffs remain what they are now compared to what Neo's throwing at you, and what your debuffs are going to be, there's probably going to be a huge ratio difference, right? It's unlikely based on your buffs that you're debuffing more than, I'm going to say 1500 on archer attack. And so you're just not comparing apples to apples. Here, regardless of the size that you're going to throw in, obviously you can always throw in more T1s to T7s on the calves and try to build out that wall to strengthen it. But ultimately here, you're going to probably have to work on your debuffs.
Sorry, yeah, I just noticed that screenshot didn't load. I'm trying to get it to load up now. It looks like I'm debuffing somewhere around 24% against him.
So 1200, right?
24%?
So 1200.
Give or take, yeah. It's sorry, I was using the spreadsheet to calculate. Let me grab it. It's taking a minute to load that screenshot. I apologize. But yeah, it looks like it's right around.
You're debuffing 1200, right? So 24 of his.
Why is it not loading up? I mean, I can just read it from the report. My debuff was 1400 for his ranged on attack, 1285 for mounted, 1629 for siege.
1400, so you're debuffing 1400 out of the 4200 that he has. And what is his debuff? Because he probably has MA10 max and all the research that he can hope to do. So what's his debuff on your
Actually,
art
he's
on?
953, so he's debuffing a full half, yeah.
Right, so your
Pretty
debuffs
close
are.
to half, actually. No, actually, he's less than half because my attack was 2252.
Yeah, so I'd say there's a function of debuffs and how much you're debuffing there on his 4200 archer attacks, and then there's a function of just your overall buffs and your cav wall. I'm assuming you've got flat refines, but the 1732 you're gonna need to step up the buffs there and increase your cav wall.
Okay. Thank you so
But
much.
I don't know if you guys have
Thank
anything else
you.
to add.
No, pretty much not. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a pay to win game, and there are certain things
Yeah.
you just can't mechanics out. I mean,
I
you
just
get
want
hit
to
by
I
40.
just
Yes, sir.
yeah. I
Sorry,
just
go
want to
ahead.
ask
Go
her
on.
one thing. Looking at the report, she has 1.2 billion troops, but she said she's running Leo on her wall with siege refines. Um, okay. The one thing that I'll say is outright, if you're not gonna put any cav flats on your defense general, do not build any low tier cav. They are useless without them. They're just honestly point giveaways for anyone. If you're putting T1 calves, and they don't have any flats, and you're not running any flats on your wall general or anywhere, there is no point in building them. They're waste of resources. They're just going to give points away. They're not going to help you in defense. To be fair, I've actually seen people doing that and still get cleared with 1.5 billion T1s on solos, let alone a range rally run by Neo, right? So, and honestly, like you said, that if you wanna stay to 15 bill, I think that's what you said. You want
Yeah.
calf flats on. You want calf flats on, and most likely, I don't think people would be sieging you. Maybe some people will, but not most likely. You'll most likely be at the end of range and cav. So the cav flats should go on, and you should focus on range attack and mounted HP debuffs. Because you said you're sticking to that 15 bill range. So that's what my advice would be to you.
Okay. Yeah, I do have flat refines on the wall general gear. It's just the dragon, the Thebes dragon. I did all siege percentage refines on that. But
Um,
all the gear is cav flat.
yeah, if you're sticking, like you said, that you don't want to go above 15 bill power,
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. I would put cav HV flats even on Thebes.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. All right. I did drop the debuff reports in there so you can see them. They did finally load, sorry. But thanks so much, guys. I appreciate your help.
Thank you.
There's another question about that it's not the age of T1 anymore, but T1 and ground defense. Their general, some player they shared had all mounted defense refines, but their armor and boots were refined to ground defense. What do you guys think about that? A lot of players honestly do it. Like I said, it's you need to build your defense up till T7s. I don't think it's the age of just T1s anymore. That's right, but that was always the case, honestly. It's just that they need to be thicker now with the buffs coming in and with the mod size that's coming in and with the rally size that's coming in, right? Because those things where you just had to build 500 million, 600 million T1s was when K40s were dropped and you were throwing 50 mil rallies. Now it's double that with buffs ranging from easy, like my average team's buffs were 3.7k in the final, right? And that's like on archers. That's not a joke. That means I had multiple players with 4.4, 4.5, 4.3 touching. So that's not easy to defend when it comes to basically any player, right? So I think the wall needs to be thicker, one, but I do not know why anyone would, unless they're very small players and they have built T1 ground as well. Even that, I wouldn't recommend that, like losing so many refines on fixing a ground T1. Obviously, there are specialized Archer T1 trap keeps as well. There are ground T1 trap keeps as well. But honestly, you should just focus on one. There are just a limited amount of refines that you can put on, right? And losing a lot on Cav HP or Cav defense flat refines to ground flat refines, I don't think it makes sense anymore with the type of uh, gameplay that is right now.
So should
I
it be
think
all calf flats on your wall, Jen? I have been told to have calf flats, defense or HP, and either archer or siege percentage attack. So archer percentage attack is an absolute no. Uh, I would never put anything uh, range on the wall. Siege percentage attack, yes. If you have chances of getting sieged, I would put that before anything cav. Um, but yeah, nothing with archer percentage anywhere. And just touching on what the point AQ made earlier, why cav wall instead of ground wall is because cavs are the only troop type which protects higher tiers of other troops when you have T1s. A ground T1 defense just doesn't protect your higher tiers, and siege lower tiers just die, so you might as well not make it. So that's pretty much it. No, no. I mean, range attack flats rest up is only for a range trap, but a range trap only works if you have just lower tire range. If you have any higher tire troop, they will just die. A range trap doesn't protect higher tire troops. Well, that's pretty much it. If no one has any questions, I think we're already 1 hour 17 minutes into this session. We will we'll take final questions and uh, comments. Okay. I have a request instead of question. Can Viper or someone big with a YouTube channel invite a few people to do a monthly Discord call where you do a state of the dev call without a dev? Uh, see. Uh, we are open to doing. So Jake, we are open to doing everything that we can to help the community. 100%. If you guys think that we need to do a state of the game call, I'll make time for it. I'm sure TBiz and AQ will too. Uh, Definitely an idea we can probably Anya can set it up in C5, make a schedule, and we can do that. Uh, Regarding a dev call, I have never been able to get on one myself, partly because I'm lazy. But yeah, I've never been able to get on one myself. But
do
yeah,
they
definitely
even
we can
still
do a
do
state of
them?
the game call. Sorry,
Do they even
I don't
still
think they
do
do
them?
them. I don't think they do them at all anymore. I think the like after like we did that massive coin strike and failed spectacularly. Evony was actually following that coin strike, and after we failed spectacularly, they were like, "Fuck this guy. They're not serious. They're not going to do anything. They're addicted. They're just going to come back and coin. So we don't care about what they say." Something like that.
Someone just asked what's the meta against defending against cav rallies if it's not archers. Honestly, I don't know who said it's not archers, but I do believe archer layers help a lot against cav rallies if you still have them saved. Obviously, the cav flats work as well, plus how thick your wall is, that helps, but archer layers help a lot, especially the T7 to T9. Like, I'm just going by the reports I read on big players or anyone who gets scavved. If they have a good enough archer layered setup, they would defend against scav rallies 100%.
Oh yeah, 100%. No, that's not what I said. I said that on defense, archers are not that important in the sense that uh, I mean, you add 100% to archer attack, uh,
Yeah,
they're still not gonna stop a cav rally. They might do like a little better, but they're still not gonna stop a cav rally.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you're
yeah.
getting one
You
tap,
recommend,
you'll get one tap. So
yeah, you
I mean, I would
recommended
just put
not putting, yeah, you recommended not putting range percentage on the wall. That's what you said. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't put any range attributes on the wall. I mean,
yeah,
I and now with like if you have the choreo set and other things, your range attack on the wall goes up anyway. So I wouldn't really
yeah.
I mean, when I'm focusing on my wall, I would look at cav HP, siege attack, siege HP. There are so many other things to
Hmm.
look at, and I just don't think range
Hmm.
attack just falls
Yeah,
under that category.
yeah.
Like again, like I mean, you can even make an argument for ground attack. To be very honest. But again, like mounted attack percentage is it not important? It is sure, but I wouldn't just put it on the wall because There are only so few things you can put up there, and you have to make a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think all the questions are done. I'd just like to finish off, or I have some last comments. I believe for AS preparations, if you're the setter, and you're obviously if you're the setter in AS final rounds or even in the preliminaries, I believe you're a huge coiner. I think you need to focus on rally capacity, amplifying the right gear to get that up, Senate as well. Then mostly have the right generals on, like Wallenstein for archers, having the best rally capacity, then putting the right gear on, like Plant Set has 4 out of 6 set attribute rally capacity. Bourbon has the same thing. So you got to focus on rally capacity. Second, I think you need to differentiate between dragons and gear, which brings the most debuffs, right? Because you will have 6 7 players in your team who are going to have really good buffs, right? But if your debuffs are really good, the rallies are going to be going really well. So you need to focus on your debuffs as well. That's what I would say your preparation as a setter would should be. Maybe also look at the other teams and just make up your mind on who you're going to go with on what. And also as a setter, now there's a fundamental change in the game. A lot of players in the final rounds will have the healing dragon, so you need to make sure what you're going with for a clear on those players, right? And make sure that they haven't healed yet. So that's one thing I think people should prepare for as setters. And as players, I believe defense takes number 1 priority. For that, debuffs uh, are really really important. And also, if you believe that you're not a fast joiner, I would say maybe just stay in the Alliance War window and maybe join rallies from there. Second, if your defense is not good, I would never recommend full healing. I would say maybe heal marches and join rallies. Third, I would say go do barbarian, set rallies on random keeps. Maybe try doing it from alts and improving your speed by practicing constantly. Those are my ending remarks for players who are going to be rally joiners plus also as setters.
I'll go with a few of mine to just to supplement that. But I think it's interesting that we focused a lot on attacks and defense and setups, but we didn't actually talk about the dynamics in the finals in terms of winning the game. And I think one super important to keep the motivation up throughout the game. And so by that, I mean having people with very defined roles in your team that are there to watch the score, that are there to help the setter, know which team to avoid, which team to hit, that are there calling out targets, just making sure you have everybody with a role playing the full 2 hours, making sure as the rally leader that is your role to keep everybody motivated and going and being a bit provocative to get them to keep fighting till the end. And also being in a position where in the end you want to be slightly ahead of everybody, just enough for them to want to for all the other teams to start fighting for second position in the last few minutes. And so you become the core target and you really cement that first spot position is really key. And then I'll do the cheesy thing that I think is worth doing, but I do want to do a call out to all the people that have helped. So obviously the full team at WDF, Hippo, Joey, and all the likes that have helped doing that, because to land your account in All Stars and just generally to have people fill on your account is something that's requires quite a bit of trust. And so make sure that you owe up to that trust and make sure that if somebody gives you those logs, make sure to pay respect to that account because it represents quite a lot of money, quite a lot of investment from various people. So just make sure that you push your team all around and make sure that you support and help the people that have supported you because nothing's free in the game and you can only get so much credibility and thanks and push from people. So make sure to give that back to other people. Anyone still here?
Yeah, I'm here, bro.
Viper, do you have anything else you wanted to say to
No,
close
no,
this
no.
up?
Just agree with whatever you guys said. 100%.
The one thing that I enjoyed the most about this call was listening to Geek. I think he's a very.
No, I
I think
spoke.
he was a.
I spoke for geeks in a bad network zone.
Okay.
So
All right, guys. I think let's wrap this up. I think all the questions are. Yeah, it's all done.
yeah, thank you everyone for your for coming over and giving us your time. Hope we were able to help.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thanks
everyone.
everyone.
Thanks, Anya, for setting this up.